Hey, my name's Andrew, and I was born in 1996, which means I'm technically a millennial, but I don't feel like a millennial. I definitely feel more like a Gen Z because of a couple reasons. When it comes to interior design, when it comes to fashion, or today's topic, cameras, I feel like millennials usually favor things like modern, minimalism, sleek, ergonomics, where Gen Z tends to lean towards more vibes and experience, character, and I feel like their values are more traditional. So in today's video, we're talking about cameras, and I wanted to share some different camera options that I have. As you can see, I have a bunch of different options here, and I want to talk about how to get those cameras, some different ways to acquire them, and some recommendations. So in short, these are cameras that Gen Z would find low-key bussin' for real. Let's just jump into the video. So starting off with the first category, which is older digital cameras, early 2000s. The only one I really have is this Canon PowerShot A700. This isn't a camera that I'm gonna say you gotta go out and get this one, but this is typically how a lot of these early 2000s cameras look and feel, more clunky design, but they have a lot of character, and the quality that you can get out of one of these cameras, both visual and audio, is more, nostalgic. Definitely when you film something with this or take a photo with this, you're gonna be getting that old retro feel. So I feel like any of these older 2000s cameras are gonna get you those vibes. So I'm not necessarily saying you gotta go get this one, but this is definitely kind of the look and feel of those early 2000s cameras. And right off the bat, how you'd acquire any of these cameras, since a lot of these are discontinued, most of them are discontinued, the best ways to find these are thrift stores, yard sales, or a bonus, in your grandparents' house or your parents' house. It's usually thrown in a drawer, and they're not really thinking that these things are really worth much, and they probably are gonna donate them if you don't go and ask them, hey, can I have this old retro camera? Now that's the only early 2000s camera I have. I have a lot more cameras from the early 2010s. So let's dive into those options, starting off with this little S110. This camera is super small and pocketable. It doesn't have a flip out screen. It's not a touch screen. Actually, this one is broken. I think the screen broke on it, and so I haven't used this one in a long time, but if it did still work, this would be a great little pocketable camera, and I definitely recommend finding one of these, the S110 or the S120. I own both of those cameras, and they were just a really fun little vlogging camera. This one was released in 2012, but yeah, these little cameras are super fun. Definitely check that one out. Another option, and I'm not really saying this is the best option out there, but this was also released in 2012. This is the SX160IS, and this quality, in comparison to like the older early 2000s, in comparison to image quality, this one is going to be a lot more retro. This one's going to feel a lot more modern as far as the quality, kind of like a bad cell phone. This one's going to be a lot more grainy. So kind of depending on which option you want to go with, these ones I feel like are going to be more suitable for video. If you want to get some good quality video, this is just going to be 100% vibes. Now one that I picked up recently, and I'm definitely going to recommend, this is the PowerShot G1X, and this little camera has all the kind of vibes of an older clunky camera, but it actually has pretty decent image quality if you want to get something that just definitely holds up with today's modern standards. Obviously you can apply film grain and stuff like that, but the quality coming out of this camera is actually pretty impressive. This was released in 2012, and it's got a flip out screen for vlogging. It's got an optical viewfinder. It's just a nice little digital camera, and I made a full review of this camera if you want to check this one out, but I think this is just a beautiful little pocket camera, and I highly recommend this one. All right, this one was released in 2018, so it's not really an old camera, and by no means is it a retro camera. It's not going to be, the old vintage vibes like the other ones, but if you are looking for a good starter camera, this one definitely was a fun little camera. You can usually find these, pretty cheap, around $400 to $500, probably less actually used. And that's because these cameras are discontinued as well, and the M mount, is discontinued. So yeah, as far as, a nice camera, something that you can take good quality photos on, and it's an interchangeable lens system, so you can upgrade your lenses if you are interested in, getting into filmmaking or photography. I feel like the Canon M50 is a great little camera for that. Now we're gonna move on to film cameras, and I don't really have a lot of great options. I'm not a big film photographer, but my absolute favorite camera of all time, just this absolute beautiful camera, this is the Canon QL17 G3, and this camera is actually, this is from 1972. So this is a very old film camera. It's not the type of camera that you're gonna go out and just point and shoot. You have to be a little bit more technical with the settings. Since this one, I don't know if you can find batteries for this anymore, but I've not been able to use any automatic settings. It's been totally, using a light meter and trying to figure out how to use the settings. But the photos you can get with this, I think the overall experience on an older, 70s camera, like I said, this is just my favorite looking camera of all time. And it's a very fun camera to use. But if you're looking for something easier to use, you can't go wrong with like either of these. I don't really know the names of them. They're just kind of like no-name cameras, but they're both more point and shoot level, where it's a film camera, but it's a point and shoot. You just hit the button, take a picture. You don't have to mess around with settings. And both of these are a little bit more modern. I'm not sure what year these came out, but these ones both came from a thrift store. So if you are looking for a film experience, film is definitely fun to get into. It's a little bit more technical than digital cameras, but it is a fun rabbit hole you can jump into. And these ones are really easy to use. They're just point and shoot. So check those two out. Up next, we have Polaroid cameras or Insta cameras. This one, for example, was in, I think, the early 90s. I haven't identified what year this one came out. But this one, for example, is very retro, very old, and it's aesthetic. And this is the Polaroid one-step close-up. This one takes those big square photos, which are a lot more expensive. But this, clunky, very unportable Polaroid camera is a lot of fun to use, and you can usually find these. Actually, I got this from my wife's grandmother. So this is a fun, family piece. And I've used it to take some really awesome Polaroid photos. So that's a fun one. This one is actually modern. It's not old at all, but of course with Fujifilm cameras, it has that old aesthetic. This one is going to be a more expensive camera. This one's coming in at $200, but this is the Fujifilm Insta-Mini Evo. Made a full video on this one as well. And this is an awesome camera because it's a digital camera, meaning you can take a photo, and then if you like how it turned out, you can print that Polaroid photo, and that way you're not wasting any Polaroid film. Again, I have a full review of this camera, but the nice thing is it's a modern camera. You can go pick one up brand new and not worry about if it's gonna work or not. And of course it has all that retro vibe. And so I definitely recommend this Polaroid camera if you are looking for one of those. Now the final category is modern cameras. And I feel like the ultimate camera that I feel like I'd recommend for Gen Z as far as a brand new modern camera would be the Fujifilm X M5. I don't personally have one yet, but I definitely think that is a camera that has all the things that Gen Z is looking for in a modern package, has an interchangeable lens system, has the film simulations built into it, and so I definitely recommend checking that one out as well. So again, any of these cameras, a lot of them are discontinued, so the only way you're gonna get them is kind of by luck, unless you're going on eBay searching for a specific one. But I feel like the cool thing about these old retro cameras is that you can kind of find one that fits your vibe, fits your aesthetic, or you can end up finding one that was your parents or grandparents and it has a lot of like family character to it, something that they used on their traveling, something that they probably took pictures of you on. And so I would definitely recommend starting off trying to find any cameras in your family that they're willing to just give you for free. That's the best option. But of course, thrift stores, you can always get lucky and find something there, or yard sales, that's a fun experience too. And so those are my recommendations. Those are the cameras I'd recommend. If this video was helpful and you enjoyed it, hit the like button or else. And if you want to see more videos about older cameras, newer cameras, cameras in general, consider subscribing. And if you do, I'll catch you in the next video.